Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. I'm Chris Santomassimo, your host today.
And I am really excited today to host Pat McGrew on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Pat.
I am so excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Well, just so everyone knows, I mean, anybody in print and packaging knows Pat for sure, but just to make it official, Pat is the president of the McGrewGroup, and she's also the managing director of Girls Who Print, and which we'd love to talk about today for sure. And I think the main focus of our chat today is going to be about training and workforce, which you're heavily involved in with your clients in terms of helping them function better, etc. I'd love to talk about, the training resources and the things that you are doing with your clients when it comes to training and making sure that their workforces are up to snuff. But, all of the different things that they can do to improve the workforce. So let's take it away. Talk a little bit about the McGrewGroup and Girls Who Print for a minute, though.
So McGrewGroup is a product of COVID. Remember COVID?
It's in my rearview mirror, Pat. I don't even like to talk about it anymore.
So McGrewGroup as an entity has existed for 20 years, but it was always sort of a side thing, and I just did, private projects for people when they needed them. But COVID hit, and I found myself no longer employed. My then employer decided that things were a little risky. It was time to, kind of let a lot of people go. So I hung my shingle out, and when you do that as an independent entity, you start to look for what's the niche that you can hang on. And what most people know me for is sharing and educating and providing resources. So I started thinking about ways to do that and set myself up. I write constantly, so I started doing a lot of content creation and strategy reviews and product triage for people who knew me, right? Which kind of turned into all the print and software vendors I know. A few months later into that adventure, one of the people who worked with me at the other company was also in COVID land and no longer employed. And so we teamed up, and his name is Ryan Maccabee. And so together we started looking at where some big gaps were, knowing that during COVID, we probably were going to have a little bit of time. A project that we desperately wanted to do while we were at our previous employer was to build an education bucket, a bunch of sort of podcast length, bite-sized chunks of industry education to help people who they didn't know the difference between inkjet and toner, but they just got their first job in print, and now all of a sudden they're expected to be experts, right? And it's hard. This is a hard industry. There's a lot to it. I mean, you've been around it a long time. The words can just really trip you up. Are we doing ganging? Are we doing nesting? Are we doing imposition? And what the heck do they mean anyway, right? I mean, these are not words that will just, your brain wakes up in the morning going, oh, I know what these are. So we spent all of 2020 recording podcast length, bite-sized chunks of targeted print education. And we created what we called the Print University, and we began licensing it in 2021. And our licensees are print industry associations, vendors, user groups, people who have a direct pipeline to the people coming into the industry who need to know. And without making this a sales pitch, we'd love to license it to anybody. But the place that we sit is in that 001 space, right? Before you know anything, before you can... Yeah, your employer can put you into vendor training. If you go to work for a vendor, they're going to put you through their sales training. But if you don't understand the words they're saying to you, you will never learn what you need to learn to be successful. So this education forms that baseline. right? It gets you in there and it helps you understand the difference between toner and inkjet, digital and offset, flexo and gravure and litho, and all the different words that come along, but then also where they're used, right? So if you're talking to commercial people, you talk this way, but if you're talking to direct mail people, they use words this way, and transaction people use them this way. Book people have a whole other lingo. And so if you're coming into these areas, this is the early jargon education to help you understand. Listen to it as a podcast, watch it as a video, away you go. But as part of our education mission and our passion for education, we also watch to see who else is doing really good education. So we know that most of the hardware vendors and software vendors have really great training teams, and they can train you and your team amazingly well once they know the right words, right? So we always recommend to all of our clients that if you haven't had a refresher course with your vendors lately, if it's maybe been a few years since software was installed, maybe you've had some turnover in your organization, maybe you've been hoping that people have been passing knowledge among themselves to learn the software, I have bad news for you. Our assessments kind of prove that's probably not been happening, and the software that you're spending a lot of money on, you may not be getting the best value of. And the hardware that you're using may not be being operated in the best possible way. And so we recommend that everybody reach out to their top 5 vendors and start talking to them about scheduling training, whether it's online training or in-person training. A lot of them have libraries of training that you can dial into, but you actually have to give your staff the time to do that and make sure that you hold them accountable for it. So there are all these training opportunities, and there are certification opportunities. So our mission is to get people to think about educating their team. And we're delighted to help, but we also think you need to reach out into the industry and get all the help you possibly can, because if you don't, if you're running your business with a partly trained staff, you might discover grumpy customers in your life. Sure. If the print quality you're producing is not what it needs to be, they will be grumpy. They may not come back to you. And in fact, if you fail on a big enough project, you might find yourself in legal difficulty. So a little bit of investment in education goes a really, really, really long way. And when it becomes part of the company culture, then you're really set up for success long term.
Well, and I think you're absolutely right, because getting the so-called official training really teaches you the right way, as opposed to workarounds that people just come up with because they forgot the right way, right?
Or they didn't like a screen. I had somebody say to me once, well, we rewrote a bunch of the vendors' screens because we just didn't like the way they looked. So we do everything in spreadsheets, and then we key them into our screens, and then at night a batch runs and updates the main system. Now, the owner of the company thought that they had paid several $100,000 for the end-all, be-all, end-to-end workflow system, didn't know that the people working for him weren't actually really using it. He was looking at his dashboard all day long thinking he was looking at real-time data. He was looking at batch data from the night before. And until we did the assessment, he didn't know. That put him in a really interesting legal bind, because he's now telling customers a status that isn't even real on jobs, right? He's always 24 hours or 12 hours or 18 hours behind. So, yeah, you really want to make sure that, one, you have a culture that says we use the tools we have purchased. Right. And if you have a question about how to use those tools, we reach out to the vendor and we get the training.
And I always say, too, that whether you're talking about managing people, or you're talking about legal issues, or you're talking about operational issues, that consistency is really, really important, and repeatability. And if you have people that are off the reservation just making up workarounds, you're going to lose that almost immediately.
And if they retire or they get a better offer at the print shop down the street, recruitment is very intense in our industry right now because finding qualified people is it's that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? You stand a risk of losing your brain trust and your cultural literacy about your own business when those people go. Whereas if you're using vendor-supported products and you're keeping your people trained on those products, the odds are you will be able to survive your key estimator or your key pre-press person or your key color management professional, their exit from your company.
You know, on the issue of recruitment too, Pat, I sometimes think that companies make the mistake of trying to find somebody who's got multiple years of experience in exactly that role. But I also think that you'd have a much broader labor pool if you just found the right sort of qualities, you know, attention to detail and technical knowledge, and you could use that training to bring them up quickly. You'd have a much better time recruiting.
The team at APAN, which is the printing, it's a consortium of a number of printing industry associations, and one of my favorite comments was from Andrew Shaw, who's the head of the Graphic Media Alliance, which is the Midwestern affiliate. Excuse me. And he said, you know, we go out and recruit in the diesel mechanic technical schools. We go out and we recruit in the aviation mechanic schools. We go out and we recruit in all of the technical vocational institutes all over the Midwest. And we bring the message to them that all these things that you're learning how to do are valuable in the printing industry as well. And we have jobs for you. And it was just such an eye-opening conversation with him because I hadn't ever heard anyone say that before. And now I repeat it everywhere because everyone who complains that they can't find people, my first question is, have you gone to the local Votech Institute to find out, you know, if they'll let you come in and make a presentation to their students? Because that might be your next source.
Yeah, and frankly, maybe you're going to get a little bit more loyalty there too, where you're investing in those people from the first day.
Yeah, and let them know that there's something out there they may have never known about. We were laughing because at the recent Hunkler Innovation Days in Switzerland, we were talking to a bunch of the young people who had come in through some of the local apprenticeship programs in schools in Switzerland. And one of the girls I was talking to, she said, yeah, you know, my dad's worked for this hardware company for, 30 years. I didn't really know what he did. And you know, my older sisters told me, oh, he did something with machines. They didn't really know. But I finally had a chance to come in and look around. This is fun. This is cool. You get to print color and you get to print all these really cool looking things. And it was something she'd never been exposed to, even though her father worked in the industry. So right. It's like there's this, even our families are potential recruitees.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I did. My son's in the industry. That's what I did.
Well, I think it's also about how you present the industry. If you talk about it as a real source for people who have a little bit of an artistic bent or an engineering bent or a digital technology bent, everybody's sort of welcome into the industry.
The funny thing is, I think we tend to think on the creative side. We think about the designers and we think about the graphic artists, and we know that they're really essential to creating the quality material that we want to print. But the people who actually make the print happen, if you are kind of a data kind of mindset, or you're kind of a puzzle maker, you love problem solving, we got jobs for you. Because a significant part of print management is problem solving. People send really bad files to us all the time, and we need to fix them. And the tools that we have to use can be a bit complex. If you are a problem solver, we've got a training path for you.
No doubt. Yeah, when you talk about the use of data, applications that are written, portals that are written for customers to deliver their make-ready files or their customer list, etc. I mean, it's just an amazing opportunity for everybody.
And so much of the print industry, we've got two camps: the people who will buy ready-made products that are vendor supported end to end, and those have their training requirements and their learning requirements and their capabilities. But there's a whole camp of printers out there who like to kind of do it themselves, write their own, and they're constantly looking for programming resources willing to learn about print and to leverage their understanding of programming techniques and optimization techniques on behalf of building a do-it-yourself workflow. And both of those happen every day in the print industry around the world.
For sure. So, Pat, you were talking, I want to get to the training resources in a minute, but I'd love to hear more about Girls Who Print.
Girls Who Print is fun. We've been around for like well over 15 years, but we were a loosely affiliated LinkedIn group, right? If you were, my gender and you were printing, come on in, have a resource, right? You're looking for your next job. You just got a new job and they're talking words you don't understand. You're having some challenges figuring out how to grow, into the next job to get a promotion. Those are a lot of the conversations that happen in the LinkedIn group on Girls Who Print. And for years we lived that way, and we were happy to do events when a vendor here or there would sponsor it. We had our pretty pins, we had our t-shirts, and we were thrilled to be that way. But recently, over the last year, there was some pressure to codify the group as an official not-for-profit. And because of that, a lot of hard conversations were had, and ultimately the decision was made to create it as a 501c3. And so as of December, we are a 501c3, and we're still a LinkedIn group, and that group doesn't go away. But now there is also this incorporated entity that gives us the opportunity to do more. The goal of Girls Who Print, the entity, the not-for-profit, is to build and foster mentoring programs beyond what we've been doing on a loose basis for the last decade or so, to be able to perhaps provide grants out to Girls Who Print organizations in countries where there's not as much support for women in business. So we work with one in West Africa. We're working with one in Japan now. We're working with, we literally have Girls Who Print Japan. We are so excited about that. People kept telling us there were no girls who printed in Japan, and I went, yeah, it doesn't sound like the Japan I know. So one of my former colleagues asked me if they could create Girls Who Print Japan. Would we work with them? And we went, hallelujah, let's do it. The first meeting had 80 women at it.
Wow.
In Japan, in Tokyo, in the Epson Customer Center. Epson kindly provided their customer center, and it was from all parts of the industry. It was women operators, women pre-press engineers, women managers, and educators who all came to this meeting, and they've now committed to continuing to meet on a regular cadence and to continue to grow Girls Who Print in Japan. We've got Girls Who Print, Italy is starting to spin up. Girls Who Print in Europe is led by Jennifer Kolacek and Dan Adrian. Jennifer is with Canon Europe, and Dana is with Mamaki Europe. We're working with a team in Brazil. We're an affiliate of Women in Print in Australia that has been there for a number of years. So Girls Who Print, the new nonprofit entity, you can buy a membership and help fund the adventure. We're always looking for sponsors. If anybody would like to sponsor, just reach out to me. We have a sponsorship package. My job as managing director is to keep us legal. The face of the organization is Deborah Korn, who many of your listeners will know from Print Media Center and having been the face of Girls Who Print for a very long time. They may not know Kelly Malazzi, and Kelly is another member of our board, and she manages the mentorship program. So if you're a mentee, you would like help in your career, Kelly's the one who helps link you to a mentor. And if you would like to be a mentor of a young woman coming up in the industry, then Kelly's the one who will take your details and pair you up. Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter. We got good at Zoom over COVID, so we are happy to link people up no matter where they are. We've got mentorships going on in other countries as well, and it's it's just that next step in realness for girls who print. And we are girls who print and not women in print. And Chris, let me explain why for just 1 second.
Please.
In the early days of Girls Who Print, a talk track we heard a lot. Mary Beth Smith was one of the originators, and she said, there are a lot of women in print sort of committees and stuff around. And girls tell us that they don't think that those organizations or committees are for them because those are for older women. They're for like people my age. They're not for people starting out. Those are for the managers and the directors. So, but there wasn't anything for the people starting out. And that's where Girls Who Print came from. That it was the idea that we could reach out to the technical schools, to the high schools, to the colleges, to the people in their first jobs and help them grow without them feeling like they weren't welcome because they weren't a manager yet. So from our perspective, there's this dovetail that happens. We're Girls Who Print, and we take everybody of every age and every career stage. But we're also delighted to point to the cool things that women in print organizations are doing in label and packaging. The Women in Print organization that's associated with Printing United. The people who are part of Women in Print organizations in packaging and the FESPA organizations and the Label Expo organizations. The goal is global empowerment of girls who print. And wherever it can lead them. So that's why we're the Girls Who Print.
Well, I think the mission's amazing, for sure. And as I mentioned to you before we started today, I had the privilege to interview Kiki Heron, one of your members, who works at Specialty Print Communications. And I tell you what, she's a great spokesperson for the industry. And her company too. And her company is a sponsor of Girls Who Print because we are looking for printing companies as sponsors as well as vendor sponsors. The goal is to build up enough of a war chest, if you will, to be able to develop some net new education programs for the industry and available to our members. So we'll have some resources in front of the firewall, but once you become a member, you get behind the firewall. We've already got some video education up there that's been pulled from the Print University. We've got blog posts, we've got other educational resources back there, and our goal is to build that out to become a really excellent resource. I really wish I had that training on the vocabulary from the industry when I started. It would have made my life a little easier.
For $75, Chris, for a month, you too can log on to theprintuniversity.com and put your credit card in there and take the 13 classes and get the 001 level of education in there, and then take your credit card out when you're done, and you will be the most knowledgeable person on earth for $75. You'll be able to have all those conversations. And for anyone who wants to license the education, the Print University is now over 80 episodes. Wow. And we add one new episode a month for our licensees. And the reason we do that is because we know things keep changing. And then we take requests of things like last year we were asked for a lot of soft skills, how to have a conversation with your manager, how to write an email, things that a lot of us take for granted at a certain stage in our career. But for a lot of people new to the industry, it might be their first job. And it's hard for them to cross that bridge between their educational friends and now their employers and their peers and colleagues in their new job. So we were asked for a lot of education along that line. So we just continue to grow it every month. By the end of the year, we'll be approaching 100 episodes.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, great segue into getting back to the discussion about training of employees. So just share some of your experiences about where you can get that training besides Print University and some of the resources that you prepared.
Right. So some of my favorite ways, and when I need to learn something, the first place I go is YouTube. And that might sound crazy, but let me tell you, there's a passionate print community out there on YouTube. You want to learn pre-press. There are videos out there for free. You don't even have to be a premium subscriber to get to them. Some of them are put out by vendors. Certainly, you can find e-productivity software videos. You can find HP videos. You'll find Ricoh videos, Canon videos. You'll find a lot of videos from the vendors out there. but you'll also find videos that have been posted by passionate people like me who want to help, who want you to know things that you don't currently know. So if you just have a question, remember that the world's largest search engine is YouTube. It's not Google. It's not Bing. It's not even ChatGPT. It is YouTube. And if you have a question about something that you heard somebody say in the shop and you don't know what it means, type in your question to YouTube and it will come up with a series of videos for you. And I can't recommend that. That's like always number one on my list. But then also look at some of the other industry resources. Whattheythink.com. Even if you don't pay the yearly membership, in front of the firewall, the stuff that's available for free is amazing. And there is a lot of it. If you want to kind of keep your finger on the pulse and figure out who the vendors are and where they play, What They Think is a great resource. And another resource that you might not be aware of at all is one called inkish.news. It's INKISH.news. And it's been actually around for quite some time, but it just sort of reinvented itself towards the end of 2024 and is now feeding a lot of content regularly. It is an affiliate of inkish.tv. It's another place you can go for free. There is no cost to inkish.news and no cost to inkish.tv. And on inkish.tv, you will see interviews with pretty much every industry player that you could imagine. You are in an offset shop, there are interviews with Heidelberg people, Cunningham Bauer people, with people on the Pernex side of Heidelberg as well as on the hardware side. There are interviews with people from Kodak, from HP, from Ricoh. There are people from AGFA. There are people from pretty much all of the software vendors. You need Ultimate, talking about Impostrip and Bindery. People from Coco, people from 4Ps, the integrators, people from all over the industry in every little nook and cranny, and the library is massive. And again, you just put what you're looking for into the search engine, and it'll take you to what you're looking for. And it's an amazing free resource, and I can't support it enough. And then also look outside of the U.S. If you're a U.S.-based person, go look at sprinter.com, sprinter.com in Australia, because then you'll see how Australians are thinking about print. That has always been my training ground. When I'm trying to find something new, I spent a lot of years running in and out of Australia during the early days of high-speed inkjet. We practiced there as a market. And those people taught me so much about how to tell a story and how to leverage the power of digital print. So those people, I go look at sprinter.com, you'll read amazing stories and user case studies. Print NZ, Print New Zealand, also post a lot of user case studies. Case studies are a great learning resource. They'll tell you things you didn't know you needed to know.
For sure. How about at the Printing United Alliance? Any good training resources there?
There are at Printing United, and thank you for bringing it up because I almost forgot them. So Printing United Alliance is, if you know the history, it's sort of the assembly of a lot of industry organizations that have come together as Printing United Alliance. So they have their iLearning opportunity. And so like you need to know G7, this is where you go, right? You go to Printing United Alliance, you go to iLearning. If you need to know G7, you need to know the things that go into print management, that this is like absolutely bread and butter education that they have available for you. But then they also sponsor the education tracks at the Printing United Expo, and the next one is in Orlando and in October. And there you will find a color management education, you will find print management education, software education, and new this year for the first time, an enterprise print track. and that is now the Explore organization that's been around for 40 years is now kind of folding in under Printing United Alliance, and that core knowledge set and the smart people who've been providing that education for years are now going to be providing that education in a track at Printing United Alliance. So we're really excited by that. So on the second day, on the Wednesday of Printing United in Orlando, we will have our Enterprise Print Track, 6 really great segments that we are programming right now, and we're really excited to be working with Denise Gustafson and the team there at Printing United to do that. And I'm saying that with my Explore hat on because I've been a member of the organization for 40 years.
Fantastic. Well, look, hopefully being part of the bigger organization is going to breathe some extra resources into it, right?
We are just so excited because if you think about Printing United, all of the core Explore vendors were already there. Right? So here's a chance to come kick the tires on the hardware, have the really smart conversations with the software people, but then also get your education one-stop shopping under one roof. We know people don't have money to travel. We know that the time out of the office is really limited in most organizations, and especially for those who are in enterprise print. The budgets just aren't there to support going to multiple shows. So the idea of bringing it all under a single roof, you make one trip, you make one investment in your time, and you walk away not only with those great vendor conversations, but the great education as well.
Pat, this was a ton of great information in a short amount of time. Congratulations. I think you may have packed the most information into a podcast episode that I've seen yet, so thank you so much.
We try.
You did as usual, an amazing job, and you're just a great resource for the industry. I'd love for you to tell people where they can find you.
So I am the easiest person on earth to find. So you put my name into LinkedIn, I come up. And if you ping me on LinkedIn, I always respond. Might not be immediate, but I will always get to you within 24 hours. I am also McGrewGroup.com. Pretty easy, right? You can find me there. And then PCM at McGrewGroup has been my email address for decades. And you can find me that way. And my favorite trick is put my name into a search engine. I come up a lot. And the thing is that there is a football coach in Oklahoma called Pat McGrew. On Friday nights, he sometimes comes up higher than me during football season. But trust me, I'm not a football coach in Oklahoma. So I would be the other one that comes up in the list.
I would like to think he's the other one. You're the Pat McGrew.
I think in his world, he's probably the king of the world.
I gotcha.
Friday Night Lights is a thing, right?
Yep. Well, Pat, thank you again so much. It's nice to be able to talk to a good friend on the podcast, and you are no exception. So thank you for a great episode. And this has been Chris Santomassimo from the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.